Welcome to Pharmacy View Podcast, where we provide regular interviews with pharmacists and key people within Australian pharmacy and the associated global industry. In this stream of podcast episodes titled RX to Riches, we delve into the evolving global pharmacy landscape, exploring the challenges and opportunities, and examining the current state of retail pharmacy across the globe. With each guest, we discuss the hurdles they face and the potential growth areas that may shape a brighter future for your pharmacy or industry-related business. I'm your host, Michael Alexander, pharmacist, digital health enthusiast, and co-founder of Audirie, an AI-powered communication intelligence platform serving the healthcare industry across the globe. My guest today is proudly brought to you by Shopfront Solutions for all your shelf and digital marketing needs, part of the Aryo Technologies Group. All right, welcome to the RX to Riches podcast. My guest today is Canadian pharmacy owner Aryo Mehrabi. Aryo began his pharmacy career in his native country of Iran before immigrating to Canada a little over 10 years ago. He's here to talk about his pharmacy journey, his experience as an immigrant in Canada, and how he eventually became the owner of 2 retail pharmacies in the Canadian countryside. Aryo, thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Hi, Michael. As you said, I'm Aryo Mehrabi. And I became about 2010 to Canada and started joining the pharmacy profession. But I don't know, I wait for you to ask questions and then maybe I go from there.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that you started us off really nicely, and I want to dive into your journey from growing up and becoming a pharmacist in Iran, and then eventually deciding to immigrate to Canada. So why don't we start there? Why did you pursue a career in pharmacy, and how did you decide to immigrate to Canada?
So it's a long story then, but to be in Iran, here kids go to some college and some university, and then they decide what to be, especially to be a lawyer, to be a physician, a pharmacist. But back home in Iran is not like that. So we decide what to be when we are 18. And even maybe much sooner, because you should start, because it's a big race to go to university. It's an entrance exam, very difficult. So maybe from you are 12 or 13, your mom and dad, they decide what you need to be, and then you go. For me, it was not the case, so nobody forced me. But I was about 18, so I had to decide. So I was good in biology and science, especially biology. So, and I was saying that, it's very difficult to be a physician, especially in Iran. And I was not very interested. And pharmacists, they had very good, society, like positions and status in the society. So I liked it. So I took the exam. It was a miracle. I was not that good to be a pharmacist, but I was accepted as a miracle. So this is how I started. When I joined there, I saw that it's not about biology and kind of clinical things that here in Canada they more emphasis on. There is about chemistry and really making molecules and pharmacy and things like that, like pharmaceuticals. So I was a little bit disappointed, but the last years of university was better because we started with lots of just chemistry. Anyways, so this is how I became a pharmacist. But then I liked it because very good matched my personality. I wanted to be like one-to-one kind of with people and talk to them and like that. And at the same time, not very stressed under the very big responsibilities like a physician. So I liked it. So this is how I became a pharmacist. Then, right after I heard about Canada is needing pharmacists. And so one of my friends who is a pharmacist now in Canada, I can tell you from our class, maybe I can tell you easily 30 or 40% now they are just leaving Canada. So one of them just suggested, okay, I'm going to Canada. Maybe you like to come. So we applied. For him, it took just 1 or 2 years because he applied a little bit sooner. For me, it took about 7 years. So I got married. I had my children. Lots of things happened until I accepted as a skilled worker, So then at that time, I didn't really want to do it because, I was involved in lots of things like I opened my pharmacies, 3 or 4 pharmacies, you can say, at least three from sketch, and they were successful. So I was doing things very fast over there. So I was hesitant to come or not, but anyways, because I had 2 daughters, so I really liked them to have a better chance to grow. And in Canada, women especially better than my country, I guess. So that's why the main reason I came here. And when I came to Canada, so what to be done better than to be a pharmacist again here? So I joined like UFT, like preparation courses. I took exams. It was very difficult, and maybe do you want me to go through that challenges that how to become a pharmacist here more?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it would love to hear. I mean, you arrived in Canada as a sort of mature pharmacist. You already had a number of pharmacies in Iran. So talk to us about what it was like to start over again. How was it to get through all those exams and to the other side, and how did you deal with that challenge?
Exactly. Uh, at the time I started taking exams. Really, it was uh, maybe 15 years I was apart from that lessons and the things like so it when it's very scary for you when as a pharmacist after 15 years being far from university you want to take exams, and the exams here are very serious, I guess, in North America everywhere. So because you're going to be a pharmacist, so it's a big responsibility, of course. The exam is going to be difficult, so it was very scary. At the same time, you have 2 kids and you are immigrating to a new country. So they were grade 1 and grade uh, 3. Yeah, 1 and 3. So primary school. And so very difficult for them. So first of all, their challenges. Then you have a wife. I mean, wife has challenges. So you have economical challenges. And at the same time, you want to go through these exams that sometimes they are very difficult even for Canadian students here. So it was difficult, scary, but so we had some time, like 2 years. I put 2.5 years for that. So, but still, maybe we needed more because we were thinking, okay, so they want pharmacies here. Maybe now they are prepared. At the airport, some people come and say, okay, this is the step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you just go through this, and you're gonna be a pharmacist here. But no, nobody knew, and nobody. Everyone was puzzled. Just the kind of immigration service was concerned mostly. So college maybe at the top part, but you didn't see, at least at that time, because it's been a while now. 2010 I came, so not much that kind of real support. There was something online you could read, but not like one to one, like kind of mentorship or something. So you were relying on your friends. So your friends also, they are in big challenge. They are immigrants too. So they don't want to see you sometime, and just fled away when they see you from far. So a new one came, fresh off the boat, and if we need to A to Z help him. It's completely understandable for me. So you can imagine you come like that, and even you're not familiar with the language and everything. So I don't want to make it very scary for other people. No, it's completely like achievable thing. But as a like maybe older like a person, maybe it was more difficult for me. Younger people go through it much faster and easier. Anyway, so I started that, and that UFT course helped a lot. So I had one fail in different exams. Like you take different exams. Like one of them I failed was biggest stress. But the biggest challenge maybe is like finding a pharmacy to really see what's the situation, because you see lots of like things like written things that say, okay, in the pharmacy you do this. If they told you this, you do this. Going through that is like you learn driving by just reading a book. It's impossible. You have to go and sit down in a car. So pharmacy is the same, especially what they want here in Canada. The way we do it in Iran, even on the book, you're good. But here, they really want you to be involved in the clinical aspect, so you need to be there. So there was a time I was happy to pay some pharmacy. They give me a chance to be there for just 2 days, 2 working days, just to see what's going on. So sometimes I went to the over the counter area and watched them. Technically, nobody let me in, and maybe it was my problem, but some people was much more successful than me. But I want to give my situation. I was not that lucky, so I couldn't find anyone. And finally, Costco in Toronto accepted me as a kind of start working there. Then I started to be a student there, then intern after I passed some exams. So it worked for me, but it was almost not happening. But until the last second that happened. So, but still, then they said, okay, so it is a studentship. You go to pharmacy and people are more than happy to help you. No, it's not like that. Why? Because they are short staff a lot of time. So they are under lots of questions, their life and their problems. So at the same time, there is a student, older student with my accent and language, is keep asking you questions. And, they said, and, in one occasion, one person said, I'm not paid here to babysit, you know, to, and they're right. And I understand when I'm working as a pharmacist in the pharmacy, I'm not happy when people ask me questions. Even my wife comes and asks me a question. So you want to be very focused. Okay. So how it gonna work for that immigrant guy to get that information? Some people might make sacrifices, and I see in some pharmacies that happen. Some of my friends, they had very, very good experiences with that. They are very appreciative. It was not like that for me, but still, I'm very happy that at least they gave me the chance to be in pharmacy. So it is that challenges that I counted, like family, like money, and the biggest one I think is the pharmacy you find and the mentorship, the good mentorship you find. So it's very difficult, and if they can make that part easier, it's a big change for life, the newcomers and the people who wants to come, because the idea is, for example, there was a UFT student at the same time with me. We are accepted as a student. So I have 15 years experience in pharmacy. She has none. She was 10 times better than me doing everything, but everything was computer, about communication. And nobody asked me what is the side effect of, for example, isotretinoin. Nobody asked me that. So everyone said, okay, build this one, put this insurance and things like that. So everyone told me, are you a pharmacist? So how you don't know this? Yes, because I'm coming from a different country, everything is different. But I completely understand from their side, they are not responsible to do that. So what I'm trying to say, maybe a better like your preparation for the people we invite can help them and us at the same time, gives a better, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's funny because you're explaining your immigrant situation, or the fact that being an immigrant, and people just don't have the time to kind of tell you, okay, this is how it should be done. But I look back to my previous when I was an intern way back in the day, I went through a very similar experience where I didn't know anything. I knew everything I knew was from books. Nobody really had a lot of time to take me by the hand and kind of teach me, and I had to figure things out. Of course, I had an advantage with being native to the country, or had a native language, which is a huge advantage. So you had all those disadvantages, plus you had to kind of figure out how does it work here, how kind of figure out the communication aspect. So it was it's very interesting that it's a similar kind of experience, but yours is a lot more difficult. There's much higher levels of difficulty.
Yeah. As I said, can be completely personal. Some people, even the personality, if you go there and you're a person who can break the ice and make friends and different things. Like, for example, normally, like, women are more successful in this kind of situations. They do a better teamwork and things like that. Even you go and as a person, like, I used to one man show. Just I'm there as a pharmacist. I'm doing everything. So now I'm working as a team. I never worked as a team, never in my life. And my favorite sport was chess. So I'm not a team player, So as I'm saying, so yeah, of course, it's a kind of personal problem sometimes. It was big time personal problem for me. So I couldn't get that kind of friendship, and was a very pleasant person that everyone wants to help, So, putting them together, it can be a hell, like person like me, but not for everyone. As I told you, some of my friends, they are very happy, very satisfied, and they, oh no, no, your experience, yeah, is your problem, is your issue, and they are right, kind of. I understand, but when these kind of things get together, it can be then the issue for the whole like profession too, because those people, anyways, they go to the profession, so better to, if it is possible, to make a better like experience for everyone. This is my suggestion, but for me, because you asked me my experience, it was kind of difficult.
Oh, I agree. I think the profession can definitely do a better job across the board, whatever country you're talking about, to make it easier for interns to learn and feel that teamwork and that camaraderie, especially if they're not used to that experience. So I totally agree with you. And the thing with your journey is, it actually, once you became a pharmacist, a registered pharmacist in Canada, it didn't get any easier, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not 100% sure I got your last sentence because I cannot hear you very well, but
Huh. Oh, what I said is, so you went through and you graduated and became a registered pharmacist, but that was really only the start of even more issues. So tell us about, once you graduated and became an accredited pharmacist, what kind of challenges you saw after that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and when the way I got trained. So of course it was the beginning of some problems for me, because so with that kind of training and lots of other students around me, so everyone was better than me. So when it was around the end of the thing, we were got a kind of got friend with the manager over there. And manager said, Aryo, to be honest, you are the worst here, and I cannot hire you. And we want to hire. So why we should hire you? You give me one reason, I hire you. We were friends at that time, and he was same country like me, so Iranian. So I said, yeah, you're right, Amir. Technically, you don't need to hire me. I find a job, and being hired at the place was my goal of life at that time. So they couldn't hire me, of course, and they get the kind of feedback from everyone working in the pharmacy, and everyone get the worst feedback ever, and they said, okay, so we can hire you. So technically, they didn't fire me. I just left, and I start searching for finding a job. So, and actually, the main reason I'm here because I opened pharmacy, but the reason I opened pharmacy because nobody hired me, and because I didn't have any other choice other than, maybe you think that because I had pharmacy, so I dared to open a pharmacy. No, I didn't have much money. We were around the end of the resources, so very, very dangerous. So we were thinking what we should do, and my wife was working kind of part time and kids and everything. So I said, okay, I go to a small town. Let's find. I saw Thamesville by accident. I was working as a relief pharmacist some days, and when I worked as a relief pharmacist some day, they never called me back, and you can imagine why. And then one day I saw Thamesville on the way. It was a small town. There is a family physician there, and no pharmacy. I was like, oh, they don't have pharmacy, but the physician here, a small town. So I shared my idea with some other friends that they had pharmacy here in Canada, and some Canadian, not immigrant. I mean, they were here and trained here and everything. So they said, no, that's the most stupid idea we ever heard. That town has 700 population. So how many people gonna get sick? How many come to you? How many prescription you fill finally? So how you gonna make a living? And you pay for your rent and everything. So running a pharmacy has expenses, operation expenses. So so I was thinking, I did my calculation. I went to Google statistics, how many of those people gonna be over 65, maybe on prescriptions, this kind of statistics. And just I found out maybe there are 100, over 100 people there living with the situation that they need some maybe 4 or 5 prescriptions. So I did my calculation. I said, okay, I do it. When I went there, I talked to some locals, and there were some clubs in town. So it's very important for people who want to do this in the future, because this is my experience, worked very well for me, at least in Thamesville. So there were Sertoma Club, TIA, or Thamesville Improvement Association, one, two, three of these kind of associations in that small town. So I talked to those people, and they said, "Oh, come here. We want the pharmacy. It's 13 years we don't have a pharmacy. Our pharmacist passed away, and he had 2 children. They were pharmacists, but they went to other towns. Like nobody kept the pharmacy. So if you open, we will appreciate it." So I really like the idea. Okay, so these people are gonna support me. Even if I make some money to can keep going, maybe I have a future here. So I found a place very cheap to rent, very big area, very like I don't know, 2,000 square feet or something like that. I paid very like I should say like $800 plus taxes. So that big area is almost nothing. So everything was ready. So I started, and everyone told me don't do it. Even the real estate taking me there said, "Hey, you're young, don't do it. It's not gonna work here." And he was a Walmart manager before he is a real estate. So he said, "I know business is not gonna work. It's very a small town," but it was working very very well for me. But this is how I ended up doing it. First, I was not hired. Second, I didn't have another choice.
I mean, that's what I find really fascinating because a lot of graduates, no matter what age, they're always attracted to the big cities, right? They want to go to the big cities. They feel like this is where the opportunity is. And like you said, you at the end, didn't really have a choice, right? You kind of had to go and find your own way and hire yourself. And you went out into a very small town, and decided to kind of start a pharmacy from scratch. So, that is a very unique and different way of approaching it, which I find is really, really interesting. So tell us about those first couple of years. How did you make this pharmacy a success in a town with just 700 people?
Yeah, these things I'm saying, I'm not gonna say that I was a genius and I knew it. No, I found out later, but it worked. So these are the items that worked. One, the pharmacy was far from other pharmacies, about at least 13 to 14 kilometers. And the main pharmacies that people really liked more, the more, I don't know, like the cool pharmacies like Shoppers and Rexall and big names, they were about 25 kilometers. So there were one to like Independence, about 15 kilometers. So, okay, the minimum people had to go and come back is 30 kilometers, and can go up to 50 kilometers. So it's very difficult, and people need to pick up the medication many times. So this worked because technically everyone, after a while, wanted to come to this pharmacy closer, much more convenient. So another thing is the sense of belonging, that this pharmacy is our pharmacy. So the people living in that town has a sense of like pride for their town. So they're proud of what they are from Thamesville. So I didn't know this, that how deeply they are rooted in that town. Some of them generations live there, and they really value that. Now they have a pharmacy, and they did whatever they could to help this pharmacy to grow. So technically, you have about 100 native people there, at least I'm saying 100, can be more, that they are big fan of you, and they go everywhere, try to bring everyone there, even their relatives, they live somewhere else. Say, okay, come to here because this pharmacy is very small, needs to grow because we need a pharmacy, otherwise he goes. So I didn't go, but they were thinking like that. So lots of other things helped me that I couldn't even imagine before going there, because we as an immigrant, we don't know the like kind of society here. We don't know what's going on between people here. It's not our like kind of mentality. So, but then I noticed that what's going on. So people really try to help, And the physician, for physician, physician also likes that idea that there is a pharmacy close, because very easier to fix problems and communicate. So everyone likes you when you do it in a small town normally, but it can be sometimes different. But this was the thing that really helped me. And what can I say? Like when you're in a rural area like that, so the amount of money you get for prescriptions are more than the pharmacies they are in a bigger town. I didn't know that. Almost none of my friends, they were here in 20 years in that, even they were manager and district manager, believe me, they didn't know. Nobody knew this. So when I opened the pharmacy, they asked me, okay, how much is your fee or what? I said this. I said, why? It should be this much. So a lot of things that I'm not saying that other people didn't want to tell me, they didn't even know. So these things maybe a person but should do the research before doing it, but because I didn't have any other choice, I didn't do the research. And so different things. So first you make more money for each person, then people more eager to come to you, and people are advertising for you. Everyone is ad, and is a word of mouth is like the strongest advertisement, I think, because you rely on what your brother, your sister, your cousin tells you than like advertisement, you know. And another big item is people really um, are in favor of small businesses, like independent businesses. I don't want that in another word. So they like to help you. They want to see your rivals crash down, maybe sometimes like that. So you have different like kind of mentality there, and especially when you go, there are different areas of like jobs, like people. Like for example, you go in a big town, so you have every kind of people around you. You're a small town, different. So at least in that area, in that town, I'm not saying that every small town can be the same. No, maybe completely. But this is my experience, and this is what they told me. They said, "Oh," I said, "Why you're coming?" And some of them they've worked, for example, very close to some very big stores, and they said, "No, no, we want you small businesses to grow. They are big enough. Why, things like that is in favor of independent like businesses and especially pharmacy."
Yeah, I think what you said is really interesting because a lot of uh, a lot of pharmacists who are trying to get into ownership, they immediately think about going to a big city because that's where the people are, right? But there's also a lot more competition in the big cities. The rent is usually very, very high. Your expenses are high, and there's not that sense of community and ownership that you're talking about in a smaller town where the community really feels like this is our pharmacy. We want to support this pharmacy and help grow it. So you're a lot of those. I don't think a lot of potential prospective pharmacy owners really think about that, and kind of understand that. Would you agree?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Maybe I forgot to say that part, and you added good things to that. And the main maybe thing is that how long you can survive, because not everyone, even in that situation, everyone comes in one day. Takes months and years. People come. Some people came after 5 years, and they were my close friend in that town. And I was looking at them when they brought the prescription. So we want to transfer to you, and we were very close friends. We were eat together, we go out together, and with that small amount of rent I was paying, and all the other expenses, even expense of living, because when we live in a rural area, even the your life expenses comes down a lot of time. It was the case there. So yeah, that one is a very big item, because I had friends that they opened the pharmacy. They are very very good pharmacists, very competitive and very like active, but uh, the costs were kind of killing them, because they couldn't survive like more than 6 months, 8 months. So it makes everything very hectic, very no, not a good experience. But for me, was very smoothly through. But yes, that one was a really big one that I maybe forgot.
Yeah, no, and you were so successful that you ended up purchasing a second pharmacy. So tell me a little bit about that, and you know, just share some insights on the lessons you learned from the first pharmacy that you bought, which you kind of had to buy, right? You didn't really have a choice. So you jumped in and you bought it, but then you decided to expand to a second pharmacy business. So tell me about that and some of the lessons you learned that you applied to your second pharmacy.
Actually, Woody Allen, the great Woody Allen, in one of his stand-up comedies says that, uh, my first marriage, we got divorced and we had lots of problems and fights. So in the second marriage, I used all the experience. His first marriage was maybe 3 years. He said I used all the experience from first marriage for the second one, and it really worked. And in 2 months, we got separated in the second one, divorced in 2 months or something. So a lot of time, you learn a lot, but not necessarily everything you learn from one business works for second one. This is my maybe like kind of warning for people. Yes, but every situation can be a little bit different. And now I learned a good lesson, really, because the first one, I just said, okay, another small town. I choose a little bit bigger even with the family physician and everything, but not necessarily the same things happen. There were not that communities in that town. So I forgot about that communities helped me big time. And some other things, like for example, right after I started, COVID started. So how do you know that COVID gonna start? And everyone went to home. So, so the beginning of 2020, I started pharmacy. In 2 months, 3 months, everyone was locked down. So, so not necessarily. So business is I really like business and like as a science. And it's really teaches you lessons that you should be very cautious. Sometimes even super cautious and it still doesn't work sometimes. So you should be lucky too. So, but a lot of lessons like communication, how to communicate with people here. Big time helped me here. But first, maybe I should go why I started the second pharmacy, because I don't have economic ambitions that much. Actually, I had friends, and they were working for some pharmacies. When they saw that I opened pharmacy, everything good, successful, they opened their own pharmacies. Some of them, and one of my friends, especially this one, said, okay, why we don't open a pharmacy, because now you can, and I run it, and we will be share, and because I don't have any resources to do it. I said, okay, let's do it. So we started, but finally, that person couldn't come, finally left, and the second person came and left. And then I gonna tell you after why I started the second one was really I wanted to help one person, and I really love the idea that the towns that they didn't have pharmacy gonna have pharmacy. So I'm giving back to the society that really helped me. Canadian society, really Canada, really did the biggest favor for my life in my life. So I really, if I can do something for this country, I do. So I thought, okay, this town, the second one called Teeswater, where I'm right now, had 1,000 population, 33 years or 35 years didn't have any pharmacy. So I thought, okay, good, now they're going to have a pharmacy, and they are 15 kilometers far above another pharmacy, everything the same. So I thought, okay, we do it. We help them, helps us, and one pharmacist finds a good job, because I really like this job as a like owner. And anyway, so this is how we started that. And I used the experiences, and some of them worked, some of them didn't. And so this one, for many reasons, didn't go as good. But now it's 4 years after I opened the pharmacy. This December gonna be 4 years. So it is almost going the same where that other pharmacy went in 3 years. So a little bit behind, but this one also good. And maybe that one went too good, too fast. But yeah, this is how I came to here, and how I used that lessons that all of them didn't work.
Well, you talk about giving back, right? And not only are you giving back by going to communities and opening pharmacies that don't have any, but I think you were telling me when we were speaking before the podcast that you try and help immigrants get through the exams to become registered in Canada. So tell us a little bit about what you do to help give back in that
Yeah.
way.
Actually, I when I failed my exam, one of the exams, which is a kind of a verbal exam. So, and I had difficulties in the speaking and the communication. So I felt that. So it really frustrated me at that time. So I tried to do a lot of research about that exam, and because I knew that how big like stress it causes for families, not even for the person, for the family, because we have people who use their 3 attempts and 4 attempts, and they cannot be a pharmacist at all. After 4 attempts, you fail, you cannot continue. So I saw that kind of situations, and so I was thinking, so there should be a good way, and I'm very good in taking exams actually, with low knowledge and good results. I'm kind of a technician in how to pass exams, especially the ones that is written, but I never did for verbal. So I did my research, to be honest, maybe 3 4 hours at least research on the how to pass exam, not about the scientific part of it. So I was doing different like examinations, like tests, and finally I found out, okay, so it's very easy. And I started at the same time I was training for my next exam. I trained 1 2 people that they were my close friends. They were taking the exam for the first time, so they all passed, I passed. Then I said, oh, it works, because I had some ideas, so it worked. So I started advertising. However, I don't call it just giving back, but I was doing some business like that. I charged people for that, but not a big amount of money, like some, and affordable. And so I had like kind of, but I did it free after that. But for some time, that were very successful time, about 1 year, I did it as different group of people, and they were maybe other than one, all of them successful. And even after, when I opened my pharmacy, I was busier, but still I tried to help. I went back to Toronto 3 hours on weekend, every weekend, and have sessions free for some friends, not friends, but we just got friends because they knew that I can teach. And they passed. They passed the exam. I was very successful that way and very happy. Gave me lots of energy, but not the same energy gave to my family, because they said you work all weekdays and on your weekends you go to your sessions with your colleagues. So didn't work in my life, and especially I had to commute back and forth to Toronto. So I was very busy. So I'm not doing it anymore. I love to if I can, but I don't think I'm as updated that I was like 5 years ago. But yeah, it was the way I did that, and really, really good thing to do. It keeps you updated, at the same time helps some colleagues, and decreases the stress. The second time I wanted to take the exam, my younger daughter, she was maybe grade 2 or 3 at that time. She came to me. I was reading my books. It was 12 or 11 p.m. She came to me, said, "You're still reading?" Because I couldn't play with them, talk to them. And I said, "Yes." Said, "This is the last time you can take the exam. Don't do it again. Pass it." And she left. And now she grown up. She goes to university now. But I remind her when she has exams, they pass it with an A plus. This is the last chance. But I'm saying that how much stress it causes for the family, because they don't have life. It's not just you. So it's good to help other people don't have the same experiences.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure from your daughter to you have to pass. You're not going to get other opportunity. But it does show you that there are a lot of sacrifices
Yeah.
in the immigrant experience, and you sacrifice time with your family, and you sacrifice time to do the exams, and the time to open pharmacies and build them up, because it takes a lot of time and effort. So tell me a little bit more. What's been the best part of the experience, and what's also been the worst part?
You mean having being a pharmacy owner, or the immigration?
The whole experience, immigrating over, buying the pharmacy. What's been the best part of all of that when you look back on a pretty hard, and difficult journey, and what's kind of been the parts that you enjoyed the least, I should say.
Yeah. The best part I enjoyed is it was the being retrained as a pharmacist. It was really gave me a better, because I was trained one time. I went and worked for some years. I had lots of experience in the real situations, and then I came back, and I had to very with all my capacity study again. So I did, and it gave me a very good kind of sense of being knowledgeable, or whatever you want to call it, like empowered as a pharmacist, I can say. It's not just about knowledge, it's about having some experience, and now you have the knowledge. After that, you put it in the right, combination. So then you can apply it. So it was the best part of this immigration for me. And what I cannot say it was just the only one, but knowing, like, being able to be part of a society when you are a pharmacy owner. Maybe there are lots of immigrants, they are hearing me now, or gonna hear me, but maybe they are part of society and they feel part of society. But to be honest, being a pharmacy owner, the level of being a part of society gonna be maybe higher. I'm not 100% sure about it, but that sense of being accepted as your new society, it was also very, like, pleasant to me. So these parts, the best things. If I want to say worst, I cannot. I didn't see anything really bad during these things. Everything, there are difficulties. You cannot say, like, but the most difficult part is, again, passing the same exams. But if you don't have that difficulty, you don't have this sense of pleasure after. So every, like, reward, no pain, no gain. But there is some pain, and we didn't do it by our choice. From the immigration was not our choice. A big part of it, and then taking exam, then opening a pharmacy. Most of them I had to. It was like my first move, and but finally ended up very good for me and really enjoyed it. And I can't ask, for example, Canadian go and immigrate to any other country then enjoy it. But for immigrants coming here is a very good experience.
No, that's great. That's great, and leads me to my next question, which is, what advice would you give other pharmacists, immigrant or not immigrant, that are considering opening their own pharmacy in a rural area like you did? What advice would you give them to be successful?
Okay, very good. You know, the main thing is be realistic and be honest with you. Do you like that lifestyle, living in a small town, rural area? If you don't, maybe even if you're going to be a successful pharmacy owner, but not a successful person in your life then. So I don't want to say, oh, everything going to be a heaven. So be realistic and see, and maybe try it a little bit first, because that's the big part. If you enjoy living in that small town, enjoy being with that people living in a small town, and enjoy the same things they enjoy and everything, so the success of your pharmacy gonna be much faster and better. But if you don't, and some people I see open a pharmacy in a small town, but they live 200 kilometers apart, it doesn't give a good sense of belonging to people living there. Why? The first question they say, why he is not living here? Why he lives like 150 kilometers every day, goes and comes back? What's wrong with here? So things like that. But it's still gonna be successful. They're gonna appreciate having a pharmacy. But I mean, to be very successful, so first they should be honest with themselves, realistic, and they know it's not gonna be a very, very, like, a super like successful thing to happen, but they should be realistic. They consider maybe like lower kind of goals, at least for short term, and if they can take it, then they go for it. And what I'm my second thing gonna be that advice, that big chance to work, but first it should be far enough from, like, people open a pharmacy in a rural area, they call it, but they are, for example, 5 kilometers to a Costco. And they say it's a rural area because this town has 400 population. Yes, but 5 kilometers to a big pharmacy, So you should be far enough. You should know that why people should come to you. You should answer that question. If you have a good answer for that question, you're gonna be 100% successful because people have the reason to come to you. There should be something different about you that brings people. You're closer, you're cheaper, you are a better service. But that service, you don't count on it because mostly pharmacies are competent and they give the very good standard service. So what you want to do more than that. But mostly going to be realistic things like how difficult it is for people, because people try to be to stay with their former pharmacies, because they used to them. When I came to Teeswater, some people here, they were going to their other pharmacy for 35 years. 35 years to go to the same pharmacy and open, you pick up the medication and see the same people, or at least you go to the same area. It's very difficult to change it. It's like an addiction. So should be realistic. They're not going to come tomorrow, especially those people. So you should wait for them and give them time and things like that. So maybe, to put it in a nutshell, be realistic and everything going to work.
I think that's great advice. And, what thing you said about finding your niche, what makes you different, understanding that it's going to take time and it's going to be a process, but that you have the time. If you're in a smaller town with lower costs and a higher profit margin, you're going to have the time to build that customer base. And that's what you found. I mean, that's fantastic. And it's great to see that your hard work is paying off. And it's, I think, very inspiring for our listeners to hear about your journey and the difficulties you went through, the fact that you didn't have a lot of help and support, and you kind of got thrown into something, and almost by accident, you ended up on the right path to success. So it's very inspiring to hear, and really appreciate you, sharing your story, Aryo. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Thanks for joining us today on the Pharmacy View podcast. And don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment if you found this episode of value or have any feedback. Podcast episodes are promoted through social media, LinkedIn, YouTube, and major podcast mediums. And each episode can be found on the Pharmacy View webpage with links to guest contact and business details. If you're a pharmacist or industry support supplier and would like to join us on an episode, send us a message through LinkedIn or complete the inquiry form on the Pharmacy View webpage. I'm your host, Michael Alexander, pharmacist and co-founder of the communication intelligence platform Audirie. On behalf of Shopfront Solutions and Arion Technologies, thanks again for joining us today on the Pharmacy View podcast.